In this episode, we're diving into romantic relationships, which, let's be honest, are complicated enough without cancer in the mix. Add a diagnosis and things can get a whole lot messier.
And we should have had a teapot for this. And tea.
I have tea.
I was trying to actually find the actual text where this fucking asshole said I deserved the cancer for breaking up with him because he couldn't handle it.
Talking about my ex-boyfriend is literally making me sweat through my t-shirt. Welcome to Talk Cancer to Me. Side effects of this podcast may include chemo brain, what we equate to the human version of glitching, inappropriately oversharing, unprofessional lounging, and profanity. Welcome back to Talk Cancer to Me, a podcast created by three cancer friends navigating not only the same 1 in a million diagnosis, but also just trying to be humans, living, loving, and experiencing life. In this episode, we're diving into romantic relationships, which, let's be honest, are complicated enough without cancer in the mix. Add a diagnosis and things can get a whole lot messier. There's that classic line in marriage vows, in sickness and in health, but what does that really look like when sickness actually shows up in your relationships? Today, we're sharing our personal experiences, how cancer impacted our partnerships, dating lives, intimacy, and long-term plans.
And we should have had a teapot for this. And tea.
I have tea.
I'd gone through a breakup at the end of 2020 and I moved home. And as restrictions were lifting, I really wanted to just like travel and see my friends and maybe start dating again. I had never done like app dating before or anything. So I decided to Airbnb around the country to big cities where I had friends. And I work remotely, so that was very doable. And my best friend was encouraging me to like get on the apps in each city where I was. And so my first stop was New York, and I got on, Tinder and Hinge. And I like matched with a couple of people, but ended up matching with somebody who I really connected with. We met up, we hit it off, like things were great. Typical women loving women situation. I feel like it moved pretty quickly, but that was not the norm for either of us. So it did feel like very safe and secure. And we decided to be exclusive. We were dating, and then I continued traveling around the country and she would come visit me. She had like met my friends, I met her family. So things were going pretty well. And then I started having symptoms, and she was definitely like supporting me through that as I like tried to go through to a million doctors and tried to figure out what things were. I was going to live on my own, but we were going to like properly date living in the same city. But I moved home to kind of figure out what was going on with me, and then ended up getting stuck there because I got the diagnosis. What I will say about my ex was like she was very supportive in the beginning. I will also say this was not her first experience having somebody close to her with cancer. And I think that did probably have a big impact on our relationship because of that. I think that's honestly the case with a lot of people. Like a lot of people have already been traumatized by cancer in some way. And so they're not coming into it with, a fresh mind. Like they already have some type of bias unknowingly. My partner at the time flew out the week before surgery and then the week after to see me as well. So I felt very supported through that. And then it was shortly after my surgery when I had the reoccurrence that things started to change. I was living in Florida and then found out, it was like 3 months after surgery that I found out I had a reoccurrence in my spine, hips, liver, lungs, and shoulder. And I mean, obviously that was really devastating news for everybody, but I feel like I was also extremely sensitive about my diagnosis. I was at the point where I did not want to hear a prognosis. Like all I wanted to hear was people being hopeful that I could still live. And I think when I got the news that it had spread all over, I think a lot of people in my life were really scared. And that in turn like scared me a lot. And I reacted, now maybe not in the best way possible, but I was just like, you can't cry in front of me. Like this is like, I'm dealing with this. Like, I need you to be strong for me. And now I can see both sides of it. But at the time, like I was very set on that. And I think that was really hard for anybody that was close to me, but I think that was particularly hard for my partner at the time. I started going through treatments, and, the first line of treatment wasn't working. I started doing chemo. I think that's hard for anybody to watch you go through that. And I think the fact that we were long distance made it really challenging. Like, she did fly down and come to one of my treatments with me, but like, I think seeing somebody so sick, and I was so sick, and I was sleeping like 20 hours a day. And I like couldn't keep my eyes open at all, hardly, to even have a conversation. So I think that's very difficult for anybody. But that was kind of when I started to notice her like pulling away. And I felt like, for me, I would say like I'm pretty good with boundaries. Like, if somebody sets boundaries, that's fine. I'm not good with somebody setting boundaries and taking them away, setting boundaries and taking them away, because like I can't do the roller coaster, and I was already going through such a roller coaster with my diagnosis. And then my partner at the time decided she didn't want to talk about cancer anymore, which I was kind of like, okay, I've never done this before, so we can try that, and like maybe that will be better like for the relationship. And so we tried not talking about it, and that was just really hard on me because I was not working. Like, that was my whole life, was going to appointments. And so that's when I really started to kind of like rely more on my friends pretty heavily. And not that my friends had not been around prior to that. They were definitely around, but I wanted my partner. Like, that's who I wanted to be like my go-to person. And I think I don't want to speak for her, but from my experience, I think she wanted me to rely on other people too. And I just like, I wanted her. I wanted her, or like maybe my parents sometimes. And that was it. And so when she started pulling away, I started relying more on my friends. And then, it would kind of go back and forth. Like, she'd be like, no, I want to support you fully. And then she'd be like, no, it's too much. And then, like I said, I was not in a place where I wanted to talk about prognosis. So I was trying to think about the future. I was trying to plan for the future and think about like, okay, like, when do you think I can move there? Like, what's that going to look like? And it just got to the point where she was like, I can't think about a future with you, kind of like, because why. And like the word terminal was thrown around a couple of times, which I don't identify with that word. I don't like that word. And I mean, this is a problem I've had in a lot of my relationships, whether they be friendly or romantic. I think people think when I say that I'm being naive because of what this cancer is and what the prognosis is when you Google it. But I'm not being naive. Like, I felt like I was being strategic. Like, there's a lot of research on the fact, like, if you focus on a prognosis, like, you're telling your body basically that it's going to give up at a certain time. And I didn't want to know what that felt like. All I wanted to know was that there was still hope. Like, the ending of our relationship, I felt was like pretty messy. It was like very sad. I flew up to visit her, and I was like super excited to go. And basically I prompted like kind of a serious discussion of like, where is this going? And it basically was her saying like, I can't think about a future with you. And I think one of the things that she said that I held on to for way too long was that we would never have a healthy relationship. So ultimately, it was my decision to end the relationship. I think she wanted to stay together, but from what I could gather from her, like, her idea of staying in the relationship to me wasn't a romantic relationship. It was like just a friendship. And I felt like I felt like a charity case in that situation. And that was one of the last things I said was like, I'm not a charity case. Like, I don't need you to stay with me because you said you would. I would want you to stay with me because you're in love with me and you want to stay. I mean, silly me. Like, I grew up in the time where like we had movies like A Walk to Remember coming out. And when I was diagnosed, I assumed that that's the response I would get. That like, if it came to the point where I was, going to expire, that somebody would plan a wedding and it would be this beautiful thing and like all of that. And maybe like that's maybe the part where I was like naive about that. I think there are people like that do things like that, and that's so incredible. But I think realistically there are a lot more stories like mine and like ours where it got a little bit messy.
I was trying to actually find the actual text where this fucking asshole said I deserved the cancer for breaking up with him because he couldn't handle it. So when I was diagnosed, I was dating someone. I had been dating him for months prior to my diagnosis. But the majority of the relationship, I was sick and I was having a lot of symptoms. So I knew something was wrong. He did a really good job of like keeping me upbeat and trying to help me advocate for myself and reminding me like, hey, I think you should go to the doctor for this. This isn't normal. So he was really good up until that point. And then the diagnosis happened. He was actually the one that told me the night when I went to the ER and they found the mass to go to the ER, because I was like, I went to the first ER. It was during COVID. They had me sitting in the waiting room for 4 hours and then they pretty much sent me home. And then he said, no, I think you should go to the ER tomorrow. And I believe that you need to be seen. So that was a good push for me to get there. So I went, got the diagnosis. It was very, very traumatic. He was there for me, through the initial phases. I was looking up the disease itself, trying to figure out what my next steps should be, I immediately started going to the internet looking for different stories about people that survived it. So he would send me YouTubes and things of people who have shared their stories. So he was very supportive in that regard. But then after surgery and the actual formal diagnosis, obviously the cancer, ACC is a big deal. So I pretty much shut down, right? So I wasn't okay. I was not myself. And so he stuck around for a while, but there was this overwhelming sense of pressure on his side for me to be the old hope. I felt like it was cry for a week and then why aren't you picking up the phone? Or, and I'm sorry, I cried all night last night. I'm sleeping right now. So we had those kinds of issues. And I think we probably dated 4 weeks into my diagnosis. And then we started having really big issues because I was not myself. I was not okay. And he was not understanding in that way. So I took it upon myself to free him and say, listen, I don't think this is working. I can't, I'm dealing with something that's immense. And, moreover, my concern right now is my health and my children. And I mean, I appreciate what you've done for me. I appreciate you being a part of this journey up until now and helping me in the ways that you have helped me. But I don't, I think that this is too much. It was still a new relationship. So it was a lot, I ended the situation and I didn't think he was going to be backflipping, but I also didn't think he would respond with basically he insinuated I can't believe you're doing this after I've stuck beside you through the last few months of your symptoms. You deserve this. For not trying your best, to get back to yourself sooner so we can continue on with our plans. You basically deserve it. And so I was just I was floored. I couldn't believe it, shocked. And yeah, so I mean, obviously that was a sign for me that that person didn't belong in my life anyway. But that's pretty much my situation in a nutshell when I was first diagnosed. And that was pretty much it. He's reached out a few times after that, but for someone to even insinuate you deserve this because I'm telling you that I don't think I'm equipped to be in this relationship in the way that you need me, because I have to be there for myself and my kids right now. I just took it as a sign that it was not the right situation for me. And then here I am 3 years later looking back, that would not have been the right partner for me to walk through this journey with. So I believe it hurt. It hurt really bad.
Yeah.
Especially that right at that moment, I was so vulnerable. You know what I mean? And I probably would have appreciated even just a friendship because he was the person that kind of was there for the whole lead up to the diagnosis. But after that comment, I was just yeah, dude, bye. We're good.
Yeah.
I'll figure this one out.
I have a question for you too. Chemo brain, I forgot it already. I did have a really important question for you. Oh, what I wanted to say was, and you were on treatment. Like you were starting treatment at that point, right? Like you got the diagnosis and then you were on mitotane, which is the chemo pill that people with adrenal cancer take. So like he was saying all of that and expecting you to basically like be over it as you were starting treatment.
Yeah, so I hadn't started yet. This was like during I call it my world tour, when I was going to see Dr. Foho, Dr. Hammer. Like I had MD Anderson appointment. Like I was going to try to figure out what to do. And it was like really pretty much like a 50-50 split on what I was going to do. He was present for that part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do I do adjuvant chemotherapy or do I wait and see? Part of me wanted to like throw the kitchen sink at it, but then a part of me wanted to like, I wanted it to also make sense. So obviously, as you all know, I decided to do mitotane and I'm still on that. I didn't do EDP, which is the chemo that, most of us take first. Systemic chemotherapy is EDP for us. But he was there for that part. So yeah, there was so much going on. Like I was trying to decide, do I start this chemo? Do I stick with mitotane? Like, what do I do? So yeah, I mean, he wanted me to be my normal self with all of that going on, and it just wasn't possible.
Mm-hmm. And you were raising 3 kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was my biggest thing. I'm like, I couldn't even, like, I was barely hanging on. So if I could muster up any type of energy or like a break from crying and screaming in my pillow, it needed to go to them. And like I feel like anybody that is deserving of my love and to be alongside me on this journey would understand that. Like she has like the world on her back right now, and it's going to take her a little bit of time before she can like sit on the phone all night with me and talk about the future, because I didn't know what the future held at that point. Like who knows, right?
My partner, when I was diagnosed, I had been dating on and off. It's the longest relationship I've ever been in. And I just realized while I was thinking about it that I don't really feel like it had to do with cancer why we ended. He was not a very good partner to me and for me. And I actually think that getting cancer, in a way, although I wish I learned this in a different way, but I think that through my diagnosis, I learned what I did and didn't want and how toxic of a relationship I had been in. Um, so I think that my diagnosis ultimately ended in me leaving the relationship, but I hope I would have gotten there another way as well. And I just think through this experience, have realized like how I want to spend my precious life, whether it's whatever length it is. I just want to be with somebody that doesn't do any of the things that he put me through. And I think a lot of them didn't have to do with cancer. But the one story I will mention is that while I was in the hospital, it was about, I think, the third day after my surgery, he did go on a date, which I found out right after surgery when he came to visit me. He had gone, out to a bar and met someone and had planned it like while I was in the hospital. And when he came to visit me the first day after surgery, he somehow it came up in conversation and I like still couldn't walk really. And I was on the couch and I ended up crying so hard that I ended up in the hospital the next day and I couldn't like keep anything down. I was really sick. He didn't even know I went to the hospital until after I got out. So that relationship was really shitty and he was very supportive in some ways of my situation, but obviously in other ways he wasn't. And similarly, kind of to what Hope was saying, I think he needed a lot of attention that I couldn't give. And yeah, I mean, navigating all of it, the appointments, the world tour, the um, mitotane side effects at first. And I mean, I had rashes all over my body. And I was so tired and just burnt and sleeping in my mom's bed for like 3 months. And I think he needed a lot more than I could give. And um, Yeah, but I do think that I definitely have realized that, like, what I deserve, and I think that was a little bit separate from cancer, so maybe a little different than the other stories.
I didn't know that whole story, so thank you for sharing that, because I know like that must have been hard. Like, how did you feel in the moment when you were like crying on the couch or like ended up in the hospital? Like, how did that make you feel?
Oh my gosh. I mean, what was interesting is I wasn't mad. I was just really sad, and I was trying to understand and ask him questions, and he responded really angrily, and he ended
Mm.
up storming out of my house, and then broke up with me, and that was kind of what led to me crying. And but I was trying to understand and just ask questions about it, and that was something I dealt with in our relationship a lot. Like, I think a lot of, like, cheating, and when someone's in the wrong, they often will, like, get angry with you for confronting them, but I was doing it in a really nice way, because I think there was also a part of me, which my current boyfriend now, there was one point where I was telling him, like, "Go hook up with other people, like, I'm so tired, I feel really bad, like, you should be with someone," and he was like, "What the fuck? Like, I'm in love with you, like, I don't wanna be with anyone else."
Aw.
And I think I had that with the first guy too, where I was like, should I just let you do whatever? Because, like, I can't keep up. I'm so exhausted and tired and focused on trying to survive and to be happy. And I mean, at that point, it wasn't even about being happy. I was just trying to, like, live and get through the next day. So I didn't have space or room for a relationship, and I just think he couldn't handle that.
You're better than
Yeah.
me. I would have busted stitches if someone told me they went on a date while I was in the hospital. But that's another episode. Tune in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that can be a common thing with illness too, like the partner feeling like there's not enough attention on them, and
Yeah.
maybe not having a ton of compassion for energy levels and shifts in the dynamic in the relationship, when really, like, if you're patient enough with someone, usually they're going to come around. They just need some time to adjust, especially after a diagnosis. It's such a huge
Yeah.
life trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's it's big.
And I can relate a lot to what you said, Hope, about feeling like somebody was just like, okay, like, can you be the old you again? Like, I felt very much like my partner at the time had accepted my diagnosis. And like, it took me, I mean, we were together, I think maybe 8 months after my diagnosis, and that's when it ended. But like, it took me probably about a year with my diagnosis to even accept that I had cancer
Yeah.
and to
Yep.
even be able to say I have cancer or
Yep.
my body's experiencing cancer or whatever. Like, I couldn't even speak the words, never mind like accept it. And I felt like some people in my life who may be more comfortable with accepting death and things like that, I think there were people in my life who were like wanting me to be further along than I was. And I was
Yeah.
like, hold on a second. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 32. Like, this hit me out of left field. Like, and it's happening to me. So like, give me a second while I get my feet on the ground. Okay. Like,
No,
please.
for real. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole like think positive. Like, like like we are the ones going through it. And like you said, people accept it. And then I feel like most people's immediate like response is like, let's think positive. You're going to beat this. You're going to be okay. But like at the end of the day, we really don't know. And it takes a while for us to even get to a place where we see any bit of hope. You know what I mean? Like, because at first it's the worst thing ever. Like, it's literally the
Mm-hmm.
worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, and we're always going to be sitting with the unknown, I think. At least I know it's going to be a long time before I'm clear of that. But, and I think also another point is, like, we're all in the unknown. You never know if you have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a big adjustment, and everybody needs time. Like, it takes time. It's a huge thing to move past. I mean, not even move past, but move through and deal with. And yeah, patience is so important.
I think this happens in a lot of relationships where one person is sick and then there's a caretaker, which is, I think usually it is the caretaker that's saying, like, be positive, like, there's always hope.
Yeah.
But in my situation, it was actually reversed, where my partner, like, her background is biology. So she was very focused on like, well, what are the statistics? What do the studies say? Whereas I am more of like, I'm always going to believe in miracles. So I was more of like, well, let's not read those. Like, let's not think about that. Like, even if there's a 0.01% chance, there's still a chance, right? Like, that was me. And so I think this happens a lot when one person is sick. It's like you're just butting heads on like what's the proper response, and I think the answer is there is no proper response. You just have to be able to like hear each other and be able to like talk about it, and not necessarily come to a compromise, but just like hold space for each other and like have discussions and like ultimately decide on how you're going to move forward.
I've definitely tried to think of like how I would be as a partner to someone going through cancer, because I also have compassion, like, of not knowing what to do, but I can't imagine not, at least now, not giving someone time and space and understanding to get through it, because yeah, there's the side effects of chemo and treatment, but also like both of you said, it takes a while to understand and to accept.
And like, so just kind of like side note, my dad was just diagnosed with colon cancer, what, 3 weeks ago. And so it's like, I was thinking the other day, I'm like, how bizarre. Like I'm the caregiver. I'm on the other side now, right? And he's my dad, so obviously I know he's not sharing his raw emotions with me because I'm his daughter and he doesn't want to scare me. But like if he was in a funk and he was down, like I just feel like, but it's also because we've gone through it before. Like I would be so empathetic and like understanding that every day is not going to be roses and flower petals. Like he's afraid, I'm sure. And I would certainly give him all the time in the world to grieve and to feel all the feelings, right? Because that's just what needs to happen.
In line with what you're saying too, no one can take it away from us. So the diagnosis and having cancer, like someone can't take the grief away from that experience. So it's more like you kind of have to learn to sit with it and have the conversations, because there's really just no fixing it from any perspective of a friend, a family member, a romantic relationship. All they can do is really be there and talk with you and hear you and listen. But I think when people try to fix it, it does get a little bit complicated because there really isn't a way to fix it.
Yeah. And I think like whether it's a romantic relationship, a family ship, a friendship, like people's immediate response is to try to make us feel like it's going to be okay. And sometimes that's not what we want to hear. In fact, most of the time, like I want to know it's going to be okay, right? But just brushing it off, that's what it feels like. It's, oh, you're going to be okay. It's like, but we don't know that. And like you said, it's just important to just like listen and hear how I feel and where I'm at right now and just be here with me.
Second, I was saying talking about my ex-boyfriend is literally making me sweat through my t-shirt. I have sweat stains.
I am too. It's so funny that you said that. I'm sweating too.
I was already like, should I just put on a t-shirt? Okay, it's fine.
How have you responded now after those relationships towards
Like,
dating? Like what was your life like after that relationship ended?
I only dated 2 people after, and then one is my current partner. So I only had one kind of in between dating experience. And yeah, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't that different, because I think from the beginning, I live in such a small town and I had been really open about having cancer. So anyone that I ended up like dating or talking to already knew. And so I didn't really have to have those hard conversations. And then my second partner, or the second person I dated after that, was someone I've been friends with for, I think, 16 years. And he's my boyfriend today and he's wonderful. And us being friends for so long, it was like he had already come to all the events and things that the community had put on for me for fundraising. And yeah, we just had been good friends for a long time. So there was no weirdness. And yeah, we just jumped right in.
I'm just gonna add this super personal. I'm sorry, but like because your ex had like gone on a date while you were in the hospital, like is that a fear that you have? Like with your partner now, is that like a fear that you've carried forward with you, or were you able to like separate it and say like, no, that was him, that's like not about me?
Um, I think it's a fear that I've had because there was a lot of cheating in that relationship, but
Mm.
my current partner has been just the most supportive and communicative and wonderful person that there's no part of me that has ever felt like that would even be a possibility. And he's just been so clear on his intentions and what he wants in a relationship. And if anything, I'm the annoying one. He's like just kind of the best person ever. So yeah, I haven't really had to worry, and that's been really nice.
Well, I can't wait to meet him. I hope he's coming to
Yeah,
some events
you're
this
gonna love
year.
him.
Yeah, so I've always been like, so cancer stopped me in a lot of ways, right? But I've always been the kind of person I'm just going to pick up and keep going. So I did take a break from dating or talking to people for a while, but the cancer never really stopped me. So I have dated. And you know, there's one person in particular that I dated for an extended period of time after that situation. And I'll just say like he got it. So we're no longer together. But I will say that like he understood where I was in my, journey when we started talking, and we had a friendship, and he understood and actually wanted to learn. He wanted to know about the cancer. He wanted to know about all my ACC friends. He wanted to know about their journeys. Like he knew when my scans were coming up. I didn't have to remind him. So that was like really, really like refreshing. You know what I mean? And in that period of my life, I so desperately needed that. And so like even like Olivia knows him. So like he'd be like, "How's Olivia doing? Like how's how'd her scans kind?" Like I wouldn't even have to remind him that, like because we'd have scans sort of around the same time. And so I just in that season, I believe everything happens for a reason, a season or a lifetime. So I think in that season, like that's exactly what I needed. And I didn't carry over the situation from the beginning because I think that, a diagnosis like that's huge. And most people don't know how to handle that, and especially in a new relationship. So I just kind of let it go. And I've always been open to like dating. I was never going to let this diagnosis stop me or define me. I've always been super honest and open about the cancer. But yeah, so that person was definitely like huge in where I'm at now in my journey, like helping me get to this place of like believing in myself and believing it's going to be okay, and believing that if something happens, I'm going to fight it again, and and if it happens again, I'm going to fight it again. And so kudos to that person, and I'm sure that he knows who he is. But yeah, he was great for that season in my journey. So I am currently in a relationship, and it's very supportive. It's definitely what I need now in this phase in my life. I'm coming up on 3 years, and I at first I was kind of scared to hope for the future. I was just sort of like testing the waters and seeing where I was going to end up. I believe that whatever happens, I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what's going to happen, but I just try to tell myself over and over again, like whatever the future brings, like I don't want to let this define the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So I do
Mm-hmm.
want to like hope for the future and build a future and have someone that is here for the long haul and that I can see being in my life now. And if God forbid something takes a turn for the left, that person's going to be here with me. I was like texting Olivia earlier, and I was like, I just want to like sit in the backyard with my partner and watch the sunrise with coffee. Like,
I did carry that relationship with me, and I didn't date for a very long time. I mean, granted, I was living at home with my parents, and I mean, with my mom, and my dad was there helping, but I was very sick for a while, so like that was kind of the last thing on my mind, and I think I was still heartbroken because I think that was the first relationship where I still felt like I was very much in love with her, but I had to end it because I knew it wasn't what was right for me. I held on to a lot of stuff for a long time, but I was in therapy for a long time, and I still am in therapy, and then went to a hypnotherapist as well, who kind of helped me like rewire my brain a bit when it came to some of the negative beliefs, like false beliefs that I had, just like that I'm unworthy of being in a relationship because I have cancer. Like, that's not true. There's plenty of people out there who don't care. But I got out here and I was like on the apps, and I met up with like quite a few people. Like, I really wanted to see like what is this like for me, like, and how do people respond, because I assumed everybody was going to be like, no, like too much, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. But everybody, not that I was like on a million dates, but I went out with a couple people and everybody was very cool. Nobody was put off by it. And that honestly, I think gave me the confidence that I had been needing for like years. And I was like, okay, like there's people out there who can like handle this. I will say I obviously don't look as sick as I did when I was in that relationship. So obviously I think that's naturally going to play into it, but I was really impressed with how people responded. So
yeah, and I was super happy when you were like, yeah, I'm going to be dating. I'm like, yes. Yes.
I know. I think you two were the first people I texted when I was like, okay, I'm like I think I'm like with somebody now.
Yeah.
I think it's exclusive now. So
I feel like I got one of Mel's like signature 12-minute voice memos.
You did.
Yeah. I love it. I remember like our conversations where you'd be like, you know, like, do you tell people that you have cancer first? And I'm like, girl, I go with it. Like, and you'll know. I mean, I don't wait long, but like, you know, I have to make sure I even like you first. You know what I mean? It's not who we are. You know, it's a part of our story, but like, we're still us. And so that's like how I always looked at it. Like, I'm going to meet the person, see if I like them. And then, you know, if I do, then yeah, like I'll let you know. And then if you don't want to be a part of it, then that tells me whether we should like keep going or whether this wasn't meant to be anyway.
Yeah, I like asked a lot of therapists and a lot of friends like what their policy was with that, because I've also seen therapists who have had cancer themselves. Same. And so I was like, well, how do I do it? Like, do I list it on the app, or do I tell them right when we start talking, or do I wait until I meet them? And I will say, like, everybody gave very different answers, and ultimately I think that's definitely up to you. I tried at first putting it on the app. I met a very good friend that way, I will say. Like, she reached out to me not in a romantic way, but just to say, like, keep kicking ass. And like, we've ended up becoming like very good friends because she's been through cancer too. But then I was like, no, I don't really want to put that on there because I don't want to attract somebody who is fetishizing being a caregiver and like wanting that, because that's not what I'm looking for. Because I did have a brief run-in with that kind of situation, and I was like, no. Yeah. But what I ended up doing was that when I was talking to people, if something came up where like cancer was a natural part of the conversation, for example, I had on my profile that I'm the VP of a nonprofit. So if somebody starts asking about nonprofit stuff, like, I'm obviously going to tell them like, yeah, I have this cancer. That's why I work for a nonprofit that supports research. Yeah. But then if it didn't come up, my policy was like at the end of the first date, I would figure out a way to like work it in. And with the woman that I'm dating with now, it actually didn't come up until the first date. So she was my first experience, just like unloading, like at the end of a first date. And it did kind of come up in the conversation, and I brought it up, and I was like, I think I like kept looking away, which like I naturally do anyways, but I was like so scared to look at her face. And I looked at her face and she was like, fine. And I was like, oh, are you like okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. And like she asked some like really good questions, but she didn't make me feel like it was any problem. And like right after we got done with that conversation, she was like, I really want to see you again. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I like truly did not know like how people were gonna react to that. Yeah. And yeah, that was like a month and a half ago, and we're still seeing each other. So I think it's going well. And she's gonna come to my next infusion. So I told her, she met my dad briefly, but I was like, meeting my oncologist is like more important than meeting my dad. So like,
serious stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really put myself in the shoes of trying to have the conversation because it just already was talked about. And yeah, everyone I dated already knew. Actually, there was one person I forgot about that I met. It was like a little summer fling before I met my boyfriend, and I did tell him, like, have the conversation with him, but I also met him in a bathing suit and I had like a really big scar on my stomach. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't, I think he had an idea something was up. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had my port yet, but, there were definitely like signs that
Yeah.
but he was super cool about it and it was not really an uncomfortable conversation. But we also met really naturally. So it wasn't like I don't know, it just kind of came up naturally. Um, but yeah, everyone else I dated after that already knew because I had put a lot of things out on social media, updating people.
Hmm.
It's like the easiest way for me to update everyone at once, and then my mom also started a I forget Caring Bridge to update all of her friends. So I feel like it was just pretty widely known. And like I said, I live in such a small town that even like the dating pics are pretty slim here. It's not like
Yeah,
LA.
but like with apps now, you can date. I mean, people
It's
come in
true.
town and they change their location, so you never
I've
really
never
know.
I've never used a dating app.
Hmm?
Girl,
Okay. She doesn't need
you don't
to.
even need that.
It sounds fun. I mean, you guys make it sound fun.
It's fun and it's terrifying also, I will say, because like
Yeah.
there are some crazy people out there.
Yeah.
You gotta like sift through a lot of frogs to find anything close to a prince on there or princess. But
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah.
Talking a lot about the things that maybe we wish a partner did differently, but I do think there's the other side of it of like being with somebody through a chronic illness and what that entails and not just how to show up but also like I don't know. I think that I acted in ways that I have some regrets around and was not always like the most patient partner. And so I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear the other side of it too.
Frustrated, you know what I mean? So it is hard for them to like, the partner to continue to accept not only the diagnosis, but like the mood changes and like the emotions that we feel, that whole thing. It's a lot. So it's just deeper than them accepting the diagnosis and knowing how to actually respond. They have to deal with all of the changes that we're going through as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like specific to our diagnosis, like the adrenal gland is responsible for a lot of your hormones. So, like, I
Yeah.
was insane. Like, I'm just going to say it. Like, I had 7 times the amount of cortisol you're supposed to have. I was a crazy person. And then my cortisol came down. So, I'm sure I
Yeah.
was still crazy for a while.
Yeah.
And I think I probably didn't even have the knowledge about our diagnosis to be able to explain all of that or to
Right.
be able to like think logically through it. And I was operating so much out of fear. Like every day
Yes.
was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to figure out how to get through the day. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry if I didn't say something like in the kindest way or whatever. Like, I'm struggling so hard.
It's such a journey. Like it really is. Even now I'm, like trying to be in a relationship while dealing with this and like I know for me like when it's time for scans, I'm not a good partner. It's not okay. You know what I mean? And it's just like this is every 12 weeks. So I just shut down completely. You know what I mean? Like I don't like there's no like love, there's no interaction. Like I'm afraid. Like I literally want to peel every inch of my skin off. I'm so scared. Like I just want to sit in my bed, stare at the ceiling and think myself to sleep. That's it.
Do you feel comfortable asking for that space in your relationships?
I do.
Yeah, I do also. I also am like, I don't want anyone with me when I read my scan results, which is really has shifted a lot, I think. Like at first I really wanted people there. So it's really interesting like finding out what you need because everyone's so different. Like I know that some of us always probably want someone with us and for me it's like I need to read it alone because I can't and I think you talked about this a little bit earlier, Mel, but like I can't hold anyone else's feelings. I just don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get through my own. So I'm like, if anyone has their feelings, they have to have them separate before. I'm ready until I'm ready to talk about it. I can't watch someone cry. I just got to read them and get through it and then
And I'm glad you said that, because I know I had conversations with people where they were like, well, we're human too, like we're gonna cry, like why is it not okay with you if we cry? But for me as the patient, it's because I'm assuming you're thinking I'm dying.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that reaction from somebody. Like, let me, first of all, read the scan, and let me first get the answers that I need from the oncologist of like whether or not I'm actually dying, because I don't want to see somebody react to something that might be an overaction that we don't even know.
yeah, or that you're not
Um,
ready to react to.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
is
And
interesting, like, we're all so different, right? So it really takes figuring it out and then communicating, and that's hard too, so
that first scan always tells me so much about whether or not anyone I'm talking to or dating is the right fit, because it's a big thing. And I mean, I don't know how many scans we've had since we were diagnosed, 2022, but like it gets a little bit better for me, obviously, because I have had clear scans, but it's still very, very scary. And so if I am dating someone new, or, trying to cultivate or a friendship or anything with someone new, like I'm very vocal about that period of the quarter, right? Like the week leading up to it, this is how I am, this is what I need. Please don't take it personal. But then when it happens, it's always like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, remember I said, like, it's time. It's time. Like, let the time, it's here. So yeah. So like how they respond, I've literally cut people off immediately. I'm like, yeah, no, I call me cold, but I give you fair warning. And if I just need a little bit of space, because that's really what I require, is space. I just want to, like, I don't want to project that fear on anybody. Like I distance myself from everybody. I try to be the best mom that I can during that time, but I try to limit like out a lot of activities and things where I need to be smiling and gleeful, because it's just not possible, right? So I try to give myself that space. And so I've had some pretty wild responses during those scan times, and I've had some good ones. So
I like distractions, and I feel like my friends really, really understand that. And they always seem to plan something around that time, which is great for me. But I also think like it really depends, because I don't think we share this, but with our diagnosis, like we get scanned every 3 months. So it's a lot. It's happening. Yeah. It's happening quite frequently. But it really depends. Like sometimes I'll just be in a completely different headspace, and I'll just be so scared that I can't even like function.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, that we bring up an important point with like, we just need somebody who can pivot and like be okay with responding to whatever it is we need in that moment, whether that be space, whether that need a distraction, whether that be semi space where like you go to your house and I'll stay here, but like I might have to call you after I read my scan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then sometimes for us, like for me, I'm back on every 8 weeks. So that like feels like the minute I read my scan, I'm already back in the MRI machine again. Like it's insane. You know what I mean? So yeah, it in that so that frequency of us needing that our partner to pivot can be pretty intense, right? Because we get through it, and it's the next one's right around the corner. So
mhm.
yeah, it's a lot. I feel for our partners.
I
It's a
do
lot.
too.
Oh, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's easy at
No, no,
all. Like it's
no, yeah.
definitely challenging.
Yeah.
No, it was just funny because when I was going all over all of these questions about friendship and stuff, last night I think I was having my boyfriend read some of them to me, and then I was like, wow, I have so much to complain about, but I want to like also take accountability for myself because I know that um while this is a really hard experience, I don't ever want to like dump on a partner or um especially a good one, a good partner,
Yeah.
like who's being really supportive and helping me through stuff. I don't want to I can be really fucking cranky cuz I'm going through it and I don't like that about the experience, and although he's understanding about it, it is something I'm trying to work on. Ketamine's helping a lot.
Like if I'm worried about something, I'm like outwardly rationalizing like all day long. And I'll be like, oh, well, like this. And like, I'll say the same thing like 95 times. So like, be ready for that. So whether you're a friend, whether you're a partner, whatever, like that's just how I'm coping. That is my brain going a million miles a minute. And like, I'm just like searching for some type of comfort. And if that is like repeating the one piece of advice or the one story that was comforting to me, like that's what it's going to be.
Well, the future was the hardest part for me. And like having already established a life where I need to be here with them for the future. I think that like I feel like I didn't have a choice, right? I didn't have the option to just focus on the here and now and not worry about the future, because I had to think about, like, if this doesn't go the way we want it to go, like, they're still here. So I always had to prepare, I guess, even in my absence, for like the future. So the future's been like heavy on my mind since day one. Preparing for a future for my kids if I'm not here, preparing for a future with my kids if I am here. And so that was really like my focus in the beginning. It's just like, all right, let me make sure that everything is set and good to go for whatever happens. But then, like, over time, the longing to want to be here with them is so strong. That's like, for me, again, like as a mom, that's the hardest part of the journey for me, is I just want to be here so bad for them. I would like bargain with God and be like, okay, like if the statistics are correct, and like, all right, 5 years, Jalen, who's my oldest son, will be 18. He can take legal custody of the two younger ones. I'll leave them the house. So I started trying to like make all these plans, right? But then I decided, like, I just want to move forward as if I'm going to be here. But it took me a long time to get to that place. And like to even see myself like in the picture of like being here with them. Like it took some time for me to imagine myself in that, because the beginning part was like, let me prepare for what it's going to look like when I'm no longer here. And then it became like, I want to be here with them, and I'm going to be here with them, right? So now, where I'm at with it is just like, I just go with the flow, and I'm going to keep marching forward as if I'm going to be here. And I know that the reality of this cancer is that we don't know. But I'm in a place at now where I can like hope for the future. Like for me, it was like every single milestone, every football game, every like small stuff, like, you know what I mean? Big stuff like the birthdays and Christmas, but small stuff like just taking a walk in the neighborhood. I'm like, how many more of these do I have left? You know what I mean? So I was always worried about the future, consumed me, to be honest. But now, like, I've just mentally, and that comes from therapy and like, like praying and just believing like that. All right, I'm going to be here for a while. So I can see myself now here with them, and I can see a future with them. And I don't know if it'll be forever like I planned, when I was a little girl, but I do see myself, at least I try to envision myself being here. So therefore I do plan for the future. I plan for a relationship. I want to be married. Like, I really do want a child again, a daughter via surrogate one day, but we'll see about that. But I've just tried to start planning as if I'm going to be here, and I just have to like let it be, and just learn to like enjoy the moments now. And I've had to try to like really put a pause on the like, how many more football games am I gonna get to see? How many more seasons? Well, I can't do that to myself anymore. It was literally killing me. And yeah, I'm grateful that I've gotten to a place through therapy and time that I'm able to just like put a pause on that and just enjoy the moment for what it is, because we really don't know. I don't know. None of us know.
I've never been married. I don't want kids, so that was never an issue for me. In terms of marriage, I don't know if I'll ever have like a formal wedding. But I do want like a forever partner for sure. And I feel like when I was diagnosed, like my fear was more of like, I'm never going to have that. Like, I'm never going to know what that's like. Like, I'm never going to have traditions like within my own family unit. Like, I'm never, like, all I ever wanted was to rescue animals. And like, I luckily was still able to adopt my dog when I was going through chemo. And like, we're both doing well and thriving here. But there was just like so many things that I was like, this isn't fucking fair. Like, I don't get to have any of these things. And I'm so grateful for my parents and I'm so grateful for my family and friends that helped me through everything. But I very much felt like moving home and living with my mom. Like, I was in Florida, which is like never where I wanted to end up. And I was like, this is how this is going to end. Like, I'm pissed. And I feel like one day I just woke up and I was like, this is not how it's going to end. And to Hope's point, yes, it was a lot of therapy. It was eventually, I was on SSRIs. Eventually it was ketamine therapy. I feel like ketamine therapy was really when I shifted my perspective and I was like, no, like I'm in control of this. I'm moving. Like I'm going to where I know there's more people like me, where I'll be more accepted, where I will be able to meet somebody who I actually get along with. And like, I need to stop, like, I mean, not taking the victim mentality, but stop feeling sorry for myself and stop limiting myself. Because if I've learned anything about cancer, is that like you cannot put us in a box, and like we still very much can have the things that we want. And so yeah, I just changed my mind and decided that I was gonna go after that. And that's what, like, I think a lot of my friends and family were like, oh, you're dating? Because I went from like not dating, not dating, not dating to like, oh, I'm on a date. Oh, I'm on a date. I'm a date with somebody else. And then everybody was just kind of surprised, but I was like, no, I just like really changed my mind. That's like, I'm gonna put energy into that now, and I'm ready to put energy into that now, and I deserve that for myself. And I think for a long time I felt like I didn't deserve to put energy into that, or that I had to be just focused on healing. But like, that's part of healing, right? So we're just trying to have like our normal lives again. And so yeah, when it comes to planning for the future and marriage, and so I mean, I'm very open when I'm talking to somebody. I've been very open with the woman that I'm dating now about like talking about the future. And of course, I think like nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. But I've been like pretty clear on like the things that I want, and like let her be clear on what she wants too. But I think for me too, it's also important to just take things day by day. And it's still very early on. Like we're a month and a half into our relationship. So
And you're right, you do deserve that, girlfriend.
thank you. I
100%.
think,
Girl.
I mean, I think a lot of like that belief was also having friends in the cancer community who were dating and like were successful in their relationships. And I was like, okay, like I can do this. So thank you both for like being such a huge part of my healing journey in so many ways. But obviously with like dating, yeah, you guys have just been like such huge support system to me. So
Yeah. We love you.
I used to be really frustrated with my boyfriend because he would talk about kids and marriage a lot. And like even before we got our dog, who we rescued about a year ago, I was really worried about getting a dog because I was worried if something happened to me, how that would affect the dog. I mean, I'm going away on Thursday. I was like Googling if my dog will be sad. So that's me as a dog mom already. But then like thinking about, when you have cancer, thinking about the potential of death and dying and abandoning anyone else, because I already have such a weight of like, if something happens to me, how it would affect my family, my parents, my brother, my boyfriend. Like, I have all these people, my best friends, like you guys. I just have such a good, solid, loving community, and I know it would be really devastating to them. So I'm already like holding the weight of that. And then you add in the potential of kids, or like even my dog, who is my kid at this moment. But yeah, so those conversations were and are really challenging for me. And my boyfriend also happens to be like annoyingly positive sometimes, but I've actually found that it's really helpful for me to have someone like that. Both like him and my parents are really positive, and sometimes I tend to think more on the negative side, and I think it's really helpful to have someone like I call my boyfriend like the equivalent of like a human SSRI. Like he just is like a weighted anxiety blanket, and it's really annoying, but then it like annoys me to the point where I start laughing and then I'm like happy again. And so it's nice to have someone that has this perspective of there's no part of him that's I think even if he's considering the what ifs, he's not really he's just like, why wouldn't we plan for our future? Like, you're here right now. Why wouldn't we do that? Like, I want to have kids with you. I want to get married. I want to have a dog. And so we've just kind of started to do, I mean, we're not married and we don't have kids, but we have a dog and we live together and we just keep kind of trucking along like I'm alive because I am. So there's no reason to plan for otherwise until when and if I get to that point. But um yeah, I think it's been really refreshing to have someone that is just encouraging me to keep living because that's really what I want to do is I just want to live and be a person. And it's like we all keep saying, like, you really don't know if you have tomorrow whether or not you have cancer. So
Yeah.
I mean, anyone's long-term plans could be cut short, but there's no reason to not make them and like look forward to them. And I did freeze my eggs at the beginning of all of this, so that's another option for me as well.
Yeah.
Whether you're partnered, single, dating, or just figuring out how to have a healthy relationship with yourself while navigating cancer, we see you, we hear you, and we get it. We hope something in our stories resonates and reminds you that you're not alone in the messiness of trying to balance scanxiety, mortality, treatment, and still wanting love, connection, and intimacy. There's no right way to do this. Okay, maybe there are some wrong ways, but ultimately it's all an exploration, and we want you to know you don't have to figure it out alone. We're planning to have relationship counselors on future episodes to answer your questions and ours. So if there's something you want to ask, email us at talkcancer2me@gmail.com.
Wherever you're tuning in, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.